Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back. So, we're just going to go ahead and pot up our little white egret orchid corms or bulbs that we got from Kusamono Gardens. So, for this, what you want to do is we're going to be using Canyuma. So this is a large grade Canyuma, and this is small grade Canyuma. It's a volcanic soil found in Japan. It's very acidic. If you can't find this, you could always just use perlite or vermiculite. That always works best, just as long as it provides good drainage. We're also going to be using sphagnum moss, which is the reason why I have gloves. So sphagnum moss usually contains a lot of mold spores and a lot of pathogens that could be inside of it. So make sure you're wearing a good pair of gloves, because if you have a cut on your skin and that gets in there, it's not going to be too good. So make sure to wear gloves when you're working with sphagnum moss. And I have a nice clear pot that I'm going to be potting it in like an orchid, so then I could see the root development and then maybe any extra corms that may develop along the way. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, I'm just going to start with a base, and I'm just going to put in our large grade Canyuma. Now, Canyuma is mostly used with azaleas in Japan. They like to use it with their Satsuki azaleas, which are those bonsais that flower beautifully. They're really nice, usually about 5 or 6 petals. And it's really beautiful. It's quite a sight. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, I'll post a link down below to some pictures and some places where you can find some azaleas for sale. Okay, so that's pretty good there. So you can see we have a nice base there for some drainage. And now we're just going to go ahead and take our sphagnum moss. Now the moss is already it's pretty dense, so when we're putting it in, make sure to break it apart a little bit. Just like this. This is always good, right here. And then spread it out. Make sure to get it all around the sides. Very good. Again. Okay. So, and then we're just going to go ahead and spread it out so it looks something like that. Now we're going to take our small grade Canyuma. So in this case, if you just have perlite, just put perlite, sphagnum, and then perlite a little bit on top. But while I'm working with Canyuma, I'm just going to use the smaller grade because it'll fit into the empty spaces of the sphagnum moss. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. Seems pretty good. Just aggregate it a little bit. Make sure it all combines well. So something like that. And then add more moss. Alright. It's looking pretty good. So we're almost done. Now you want to make sure that these bulbs aren't planted too low, because if they're planted too low, they'll start to rot down here and you won't get anything to grow. The roots need to be wet, but not too wet. They like bogs, but they like good drainage as well. Because usually, I mean, when you're in a bog, everything else is drinking the water too. So everything is helping out everything. It's all mutualistic. So, just going to go ahead and do that same thing again. Just like that. And more small grade Canyuma. I'm just going to push it around like so. Just like this. Good. And then I'm just going to put one more layer of sphagnum for the bottom, where the roots are going to be coming out. Like that. So you should be left with something like this. I'm just going to push down to make sure we have enough room. And now I'm going to take out our corms. So let's open this up. And if we open up, or take off the top layer of moss there, you can see all the corms, like in the last video. So now we're just going to take one by one and plant them around. So the top is the portion that has a little bit of green coming out. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. But anyways, it's the top with a little green speck coming out of it, or it's the top with like a protrusion like where a root used to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the middle. I'm going to push it down a little bit, like that. Our next one. Okay, so this one doesn't have a green green spot, but it does look like it had a root there, so that's where I'm going to put it. Put this one here, push it down, and then this one, another one, push it down. Good. And you know, from our last video, I don't know, to me they look like tiny little potatoes. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. And just gonna plant the next one. And finally, last but not least, our last little one. Now this one looks like a potato. Alright, plant that one right here. And that looks pretty good to me. So, the last and final step is to go ahead and put a layer of sphagnum moss on it, because the roots do tend to dry up during the summer, so we want to make sure that they're nice and moist. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our moss and spread it around the plants. Spread it around it. Don't really put it on top, just put it around it. And make sure they're standing. You don't want them to fall over, otherwise you'll get plants that are coming in sideways, and we don't want that. We want them vertical. We want them perfect. That. Okay. Almost done. It takes a long time, but the results are worth it. Definitely. So, just making sure I'm not covering up the bulb here. And I'm not. Good. And then do that over here. And we're pretty much done. That's basically it. Now, because I'm into bonsai trees and I like everything to have, you know, good showmanship and basically clarity and a good, basically a nice uniform pattern, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with the Canuma, just to make sure it looks nice, and it's going to keep the sphagnum moss down. We don't want it drying up. So I'm just going to place this on top, like that. Just like that. Spread it around. Make sure that it gets all over the circumference of the pot. We want it uniform. And there we go. I think maybe 2 more should do it. Okay, and 1 more. Push down gently, because we don't want to damage the bulbs. And there we go. We are done. So this is what you should end with. So if you did perlite, you would just top it off with perlite, or you could just leave it as sphagnum moss, because the perlite is really light, and when you water it, it'll probably just fall out of the pot. But you could probably just leave the moss on top, and it should be just fine. But this is what you should look like if you have Canuma. And I will keep you guys posted. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice soaking. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and wet on top, and that all these are nice and a yellow color. See, they're white, so that means they're dry. And I'm just going to make sure everything is moist, and I'm going to leave it in my little greenhouse where it gets about 80 degrees, 70 to 80, and it's nice and moist in there. And I'm going to leave it in a partial shaded, partial sunny area, so slight sun. So mostly in the morning, so morning sun, where it shouldn't burn, excuse me, and it should be fine. So I will definitely make some updates as soon as I start to see some growth. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my other sites where you can find me, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those good sites. And I will go ahead and post a link down below to where you can find the azaleas I was talking about before. So thank you very much for watching. Oh, and I will also, before I forget, I will also post a link to where you could probably find some Canuma soil. I could probably find some on eBay or somewhere for you guys. So I will definitely put that down below in the description. And please stay posted for more videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Thank you very much.